Fly like an eagle.
Our club has always been about the people.
And the impact we have.
We create opportunities.
We dare to dream.
About what we can achieve together.
We aim to entertain.
And we deliver results.
Our teams inspire our community.
And our community inspires us.
We work together
To push boundaries.
Building a better future.
For everyone.
It's our spirit that bonds us.
Our members.
Our partners.
Our players.
Our staff.
Our youth.
Our community.
Our county.
We are Essex.
We are the
Eagles!
Balderson round the wicket to Elgar, and Elgar on the pull, pulls that one away to the mid-wicket boundary, and that's the first 4 of the morning, 79 for 1. Fetch to the mid-wicket boundary by Elgar, who guides this one past the right hand of the man at third slip and picks up 4 runs. No danger, he was riding that one, it was all the way along the ground. Into Elgar and drives off the back foot and may well pick up 4 runs for this one. Indeed, the man at mid-on has given it up.
The ball over the wicket to Sam Cook. Nice shot, 4 runs through extra cover. And Cook moves into double figures with that, and Essex edging towards 100. Back into Cook, and that's pulled out towards deep backward square leg and pulled nicely for 4 runs actually. Just pivots onto the back foot.
Bowls to Cook. And Cook's clipped this one through mid wickets. His runs here. It's racing out towards the boundary. Hasn't got the legs to get there. And a valiant effort by the fielder, but the ball wins the battle.
From the man at mid-on. Moving very quickly past the umpire, and that's slower, and there's more flight on that one, and it is just flicked very gently and very precisely away by Elgar.
Bowls. Elgar drives through the offside. That should go up towards the boundary. There's a long chase there. The ball wins the race, and that's the problem Williams have got with no mid-off in place, that anything pitched up. As Williams is in no balls, and this is it. As he clips this one through mid-wicket, should get at least 2 here. The mid-on fielder has to chase out towards the boundary, gets to it now, and the return comes back to Williams. But in the meantime, Dean Elgar has crossed for 2 runs, brings up his half century. He's in now. Williams bowls to Elgar, and Elgar's running this one down to third man. That should go for another boundary. The chase is on. I don't think the fielder is gaining any ground on that ball down to third man, and he concedes another one.
His line, he's into Cook, and Cook on the drive will pick up 4 runs here as well, just slightly over pitched from Nathan Lyon. That brings up the 150 for Essex, 151 for 1, and Cook goes to 36.
Yeah, well played, Cook.
Blathwick to Elgar, short and pulled, and it might be 4. There's an awful lot of ground for Bohannon to make up, but he can't get to it.
Here is Bailey into the right-handed Cook, and Cook fends at that one and will pick up 4 runs as well as it beats the man at backward point. Just goes through that sort of gully backward point area, and another boundary for Sam Cook accrues. He goes to 44. Into Elgar, and Elgar, well, gets a flick on that one. It'll go down to the long leg for 4 runs, and it has come off the bat as well. Elgar flicks that one away again, and will pick up 4 more runs to end this morning's session. That takes Essex on to 182 for 1 for the second session of day 2 then. And Sam Cook on a half century has gone. He's gone, and he's falls 1 short of his maiden first-class 50. And Balderson is in and bowling to Wesley, who probably just about opens the face of the bat there and gets it down towards the deep third boundary. Comes into Wesley. Wesley on the drive and drives majestically straight past the bowler and up to the long on boundary and picks up 4 runs, 198 for 2. Once again to the Essex captain, who whips that one away. Should be stopped by a tumbling man at mid-on. I say should be stopped. He got a hand to it and tipped it over the rope by Nathan Lyon.
With Cook, as this delivery is driving outside the off stump, and he's out caught behind. or he's given out caught behind. He's not moving. The guy is standing there, maybe just disappointed that he was tempted into that drive. Balls, and that's flicked away past square leg. Should go to the boundary. It does now. And a nice neat shot there off the legs. In and balls, and that's slicked away through the onside for 4. That's a much better shot. He's been very strong in this area, Wesley, since he's come on out to bat. He's got a few balls in that area, which he's done well. Balls, that's driven for 4. Full length delivery and nicely timed by Cox onto the front foot. And the final delivery of this first over after, and this one is cut over the slip for 4. Short and wide, and Blatherick continues to leak runs.
In and bowls, full and driven. Nice flourish of a drive actually out there through extra cover. Keaton Jennings will pump those legs and he'll try and get to it before the rope, pulls it. Oh dear, one of the most agonising rollers. I hate that for a poor old feeder. He's not really, I think, needed by Australia till November as he comes in and bowls and looking to sweep this. That's nicely played by Jordan Cox. That's going to be 4 runs, very fine on the leg side. Not surprised to punch the gloves. There always is, I guess, but I think that really was.
Now in bowls, and this one is hit through the onside for 4. Short and just whipped through mid-wicket. There is a deep square leg and there is a mid-on, and that was beautifully played there by Wesley. Just
line comes in and bowls and driven. And that's found a lovely gap, square on the offside. Again, plenty of space. It's Wesley who finds that boundary.
To bowl to Cox. Bowls, and Cox is out, caught at mid-wicket. Short ball, and he's pulled across the line and just helped it straight to the fielder.
And Critchley's edged and taken by Jennings at first slip. And Lyon gets his first wicket of the match. Critchley goes for 5.
Leg spin, flicking the hand. That's a full toss, which is smashed away by Tom Wesley for 4 runs, and that takes Tom Wesley to a half-century as well. 52 from 84 deliveries. Essex go to 278 for 5. Run rate just over 3.7 at the moment. Here's Wells again, in and bowls, and that is heaved away by Michael Pepper, high over mid-on, and it's gone the distance and goes for the maximum and goes for 6 as Wells is in again. And Pepper again slaps that this time. Wesley just has to make sure he keeps out of the way of it as it goes down to the long-on boundary for 4 more runs.
Blatherwick's in and balls again. That bottom edge bounces into the turf and then up and over Keaton Jennings at first slip. Blatherwick to Wesley. He takes it away off his toes out towards deep back. Square leg. Oh, there's a misfield on the boundary.
In now to Pepper. Pepper on the pull, got a top edge to that. It's gone over the head of wicket-keeper Hurst, and it's gone all the way. That's Michael Pepper's second maximum, not exactly where he was aiming. Toss it back to the fielder, and Bailey's very quickly back into his delivery stride, and this time it's whipped away by Pepper, wide of the man at mid-on. It's mid-wicket who's come scampering around, and he can't make the stop, he can't cut the ball off.
Williams in, Pepper edges behind, he does, caught by Hurst. Pepper departs for 30, and Will Williams picks up his second wicket of the... driven for 4 by Thane, and that's a nice way for him to end the over.
To Thane, drive in through the offside, that should go for 4. That's as good a shot as we've seen today, and that's a lovely shot, actually. Over-pitched delivery by Balderson to Thane, and he's bowled in. That one kept very, very low. He went back, and when you look at the replay, you will find that that ball just did not bounce at all.
Here's Lyon. Lots more flight with that one. Slower delivery. It's driven away by Tom Wesley, and he will pick up 4 runs. The tumbling effort out there in the deep. This next one is also cut away, and away it goes. Just slightly squarer of the previous one. But here's Lyon. Oh, and that's a big shout for LBW, and he's got to go. Tom Wesley will not be reaching 3 figures, playing across the line as he planted that front foot and caught palpably in front. Wesley goes 365 for 8.
this short of a length, and it's probably a bit high. That looked high from our vantage point. We'll have to wait and see. Harmer bowls, and Harmer's struck on the pads. He's given out LBW, and Alistair Cook in bowls, and Jennings is struck on the pads. Is allowed appeal for LBW, and he's out. Yes, the breakthrough comes, and it's always going to be a little tricky period this for Lancashire. To Williams, he's in now and bowls, and Williams defends into the onside. Job done, and he will come back tomorrow and hope to do a similar job to Sam Cook, as Wells walks over to him. Notice here, well done.
visitors Lancashire, and certainly Essex start the day by far in the better position, because overnight they have a lead of 221, and Lancashire have already lost 1 wicket in their second innings, that of Keaton Jennings last night, who was LBW to Jamie Porter for 3 when the score was 6. They're 10 for 1, so they still need another 221 not to lose by an innings. But probably the wicket is more favourable to the batsman than it has been on either of the 2 preceding days. So yeah, there's a lot of cricket to be played, and it may well go deep into tomorrow before we have a final result. My name is Dick Davis. Shortly joining me just after 11 o'clock will be Scott Reed from BBC Lancashire and numerous other stations, not least Test Match Special, and about half an hour later Roland Butcher will be joining us as well. And this afternoon we may, if the game's continuing deep into the day, which it probably will, and if he has no other commitments, we may be joined by Kevin Howells of worldwide fame, especially to those listening on BBC 5 Live. That he has numerous other commitments and keeps juggling about 8 or 9 different balls in the air as he switches from game to game to keep everybody updated. So right, we're about to start. The umpires have made their way out to the middle, Messrs Alex Wharf and James Middlebrook, as have the Essex fielders, and as have the 2 incumbent Lancashire batsmen, Luke Wells and Will Williams. We will apologise as usual for the fact that you can hear in the background the noise of the BBC Essex the BBC Essex 11 o'clock news, but that will disappear soon after I've done my 11 o'clock report. So the first news of the day, before a ball has even been bowled, that Michael Pepper is not keeping wicket, and an unknown quantity to me and probably to most people, Ronnie McKenna is keeping wicket as the first ball of the day. We're just about to do an update now before. And we've just had 1 delivery of the day. That's all, bowled by Sam Cook, and that was just played out quietly back to the bowler. Essex start the day very much in the better position. They lead by 221. And they already got the prize wicket of Keaton Jennings out last night for 3. So the Lancastrians have a lot of work to do if they are to make Essex bat again. But maybe it's easier batting today than either of the 2 preceding days. But that we'll find out as another delivery comes in. And so there's obviously been no addition to the overnight score of 10 for 1 at a rather overcast indeed county ground. And I'm delighted to welcome Roland Butcher to the microphone. And good morning, Roland.
Hey Dick, good morning to you, and good to see we've got cricket started on time.
Yes, indeed. The next delivery to the left-handed Wells had just played defensively. Cook bowling round the wicket to him from what for decades we've been calling the Hayes close end, and henceforth is the Graham Gooch end. In the last week or couple of weeks, these ends have been renamed. The Graham Gooch end at the south end, and the Alistair Cook, I'm not sure if it's called officially the Sir Alistair Cook end, at the end from which we're broadcasting, the northern end of the ground near the river, as Cook moves in and bowls. And that's just played totally defensively. Well, totally defensively, but very well timed, and it just speeds through mid-off to long-off, and 4 runs. Now, I mean, I described that as a defensive shot. It was a defensive shot, but it was so well timed, it just sped away.
Yeah, good piece of timing there by Wells. Over-pitch delivery. Just going straight through the line.
Yes. So,
first boundary of the morning.
Yep, Lancashire underway again, 14 for 1 as Cook moves in and bowls. Oh, and that jags back, and a bit of, I think, excitement more than an appeal, and it goes off the pad for 4 leg byes. So, yeah, 2 consecutive deliveries have conceded 8 runs, but that certainly inconvenienced Wells for a short time. But
yeah, just cut back at the left-hander and trying to flick it on the onside. Just clipped the pad and keeper couldn't get across in time.
So not a very big crowd yet. It's still, I don't think we're going to get much rain, he said optimistically, but it's still unseasonably chilly as Cook moves in again. And Wells again plays defensively, and this time no run accrues as it's played out into the covers. So the end of the first over, which yielded 8 runs by one means or another. Yes, I said very quickly that the keeper is Ronnie McKenna. We're not quite sure what's happened to Michael Pepper. No doubt we'll find out ere long. And I can tell you absolutely nothing about Ronnie McKenna at all. There's nothing about him in the Playfair Cricket Annual, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't played for Essex before. I suppose he's a very promising up-and-coming second 11 player, but Essex seem to get through wicketkeepers at quite a rate. They already have 3 on their books, and of course Cox kept a little at Kent fairly regularly, but I think he's made it plain that he crossed the Thames purely as a batsman.
But he gets his opportunity as Porter comes in now and bowls to Williams, and Williams comes a long way forward and just pushes the ball back along the pitch to the bowler. Immediately the umpire just speaking to Porter, running perhaps straight down the pitch. And Williams, the night watchman, really was dropped at that second slip position last night.
And was he?
So he's got a chance to redeem himself, similar to what happened with Cook, as Porter, the wicket taker's in and bowls, and he's driving him through mid-off for 4. And the night watchman Williams getting onto the front foot to an over-pitch delivery, and not a full half volley, but driving it sweetly to the right of mid-off and out to the boundary for 4. So he gets his first runs in the morning and the third boundary as well. The score now moves on to 22 for 1.
Well, Williams made undefeated 32 in the first innings, and Cook, who came in as night watchman, made 49 before he was out yesterday. So
and they were both dropped at the end of the day.
Yes.
And had to resume their innings. Porter will respond now and bowls to Williams, and Williams is right forward, showing good defensive technique as that ball comes off the middle of the bat and goes up to mid-on, and there's no run. 22 for 1. Williams now on 6. Wells on 9. The batsman out. Keaton Jennings was LBW to Porter, and a long way to go. Still trailed by 209 as Porter, with number 44 on his back, in bowls, and Williams is forward, and that ball comes off the outer half of the bat and goes square to wicket on the offside. There's a fielder stationed at point. He does the fielding, no run.
understandably not a very big crowd here yet. I mean, it is a Sunday morning. Generally speaking, people lie in. I know today was the first time I've got up at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday for donkey's years, so they'll probably drift in as the morning goes on.
Porter in, no bowls. Williams edges and is caught behind. There's no second chance this time for Williams. Gets an outside edge. Porter just drew him into that delivery outside the off stump, and it's taken by the keeper, the standing wicket keeper, who takes the catch, McKenna, and the wicket has gone just as Essex would have liked to start the day. A wideish delivery, just nicked away, and Williams, he goes caught by McKenna off the ball of Porter for the 6. It's now 22 for 2.
Yes, so admittedly it was a straightforward catch, but that was only, the what was it? The 9th ball that McKenna has been on the pitch for in first-class cricket for Essex, so yes, he took that quite well. He had to, well, I mean, it'd have been a dreadful drop if he hadn't held it, but it was just sort of waist height, slightly to his right. So
yes, it'll do the world of good for his confidence. Obviously,
yes.
There would be some nerves coming into this game as a replacement for Pepper, but he did really let himself down, took a nice catch that'll make him feel much more confident. But the breakthrough once again by Porter, who's picked up both wickets so far. More work to be done by Lancashire, who's still facing this deficit of 209 more before they can ask Essex to bat again. It's going to be a very tall order for them to survive.
It is indeed.
But the new batter is Bohannon. He's got a lot of work to do because Essex have made the early breakthrough and they'll be looking to pick up another wicket as early as possible as the sun breaks through. So Bohannon now will be faced by 3 slips, cover point and a mid-off, and then on the onside there's a mid-on, short mid-wicket in a catching position, square leg, and a man on the long leg boundary as Porter comes in with the final delivery of this over and bowls to Bohannon, and he's right forward, gets the full face of the bat back to the bowler. End of a successful over there by Porter. Just the 4 runs coming off that, but Porter now has figures of 6 overs and he's got 2 for 6 at the end of that over. Lancashire 22 for 2.
Yes, so obviously of those 2 batsmen, Wells was the more recognised one, but one of the things that really irritates fielding sides is when the night watchman comes in and then hangs around a long time on the following morning, as of course Cook did yesterday, but that didn't happen today. So Williams was on his way. Porter has 2 wickets, as Roland said, and Cook continues from the far end. That's played out off the back foot, square on the offside. It'll go possibly to the boundary, and it does just cross the rope now, just ahead of 2 fielders who are in pursuit, but neither of them ever looked really like catching it up. So there again, it was all timing, didn't put much effort into that. Got up on his toes and just guided it square on the offside. So yeah, Porter has 2 for 6 now. Porter, it has to be said, has been in recent 2-3 years been rather overtaken or overshadowed by Sam Cook, and so Porter understandably would be delighted to get 2 scalps already as Cook moves in and bowls. That's just met with a solid defensive blade off the front foot, trickles out on the offside where it's fielded by Shane Snater, who's well, I know this is only the 3rd game, but he's had a very good season already, both with bat and ball. Took 4 wickets in the first innings. 4 for 42. As Cook moves in again, right arm round the wicket to the left-handed Wells, who again takes his bottom hand off the bat as he just plays the defensive shot, but ball just trickles back down the 22 yards. Back to the bowler. Yeah, still, as I said, distinctly nippy at the moment. We have the window open, but that's almost essential because they're black, darkened glass, which, and also you get the sounds of the game. That's played out in the offside. Some commentary boxes we go to, they're sort of, I would describe them as hermetically sealed, and it's only under those circumstances you realise how important the sound of a game is to enjoying it, isn't it? Really, I always liken it to sort of watching a game on a television in a shop window. Unless you can actually hear the sounds of the game and the sound of the crowd, it's not just the bat on ball. But yeah, so yeah, that's one of the main reasons we have the window open. That's just played out on the onside. That even at Lord's, the media centre there, when it was first opened, none of the windows opened, and I believe Test Match Special kicked up a little bit of a fuss about it, and eventually the powers that be gave in, and the Test Match Special commentary box at Lord's does have windows which open, but none of the others does. Cook from the far end, not the Hayes Close, the Graham Gooch end, and that's just played defensively, very slightly walking into the shot as he played it. Just trickles out on the offside. No addition to the score of 26 for 2 with Wells on 13. Bohannon yet to open his account, indeed yet to open his account for the match, because he got a duck in the first innings, caught by the South African Dean Elgar off the bowling of the aforementioned Shane Snater. So he'll be keen to get underway, and a lot more than just underway. A lot of work for the Lancashire batsman to do today.
Yes, in the meantime he's got to deal with Porter, who has picked up 2 wickets so far, and Bohannon will face. Slips go down, 3 in the slip region as Porter's in bowl to Bohannon, and he's on drive in firmly, but he's not going to get past mid-on. That ball just came in. He's driven it nicely up to mid-on. They're on score stairs on 26 for 2, and Essex today will be pushing to try and get this game finished today.
Yes, they will.
Obviously the threat of bad weather over the last couple of days, don't want to have that hanging over their heads as Porter comes in to Bohannon and bowls, and he's watchful in defence, goes right across his stumps and pushes the ball gently into the offside. He stays on 0, Wells on 13, so pretty similar days to what we've had. Before, just cloud, a bit of sun,
yes,
more cloud, occasional bit of sun.
And the forecast for tomorrow is not brilliant, particularly since in the latter part of the day, so Essex will be keen to wrap this up.
Porter bowls, Bohannon has to defend the ball that's bang on target, just coming into the batter, and he defends the ball into the onside. Interesting position, that short mid wicket, I guess. Just hoping that Bohannon would overbalance and just clip one in the air in that region, as Porter is halfway through his run up, approaches the umpire now and bowls, and Bohannon beaten outside the off stump as he walks across his stump, slightly squared up. Ball goes past the outside edge, taken by McKinnon, and still 26 for 2.
Yes, that was a good delivery, and he got the better of Bohannon, walked down the wicket afterwards and did a bit of gardening. But yeah, Porter's still a handful, especially in these sort of conditions.
He's in once more, and bowls, and Bohannon is driving and misses. On this occasion, that one keeps a little bit low, not cleanly taken by the wicketkeeper,
but stopped.
And the ball was probably bounced in just before it got to him. But a loose shot there by Bohannon, just driving through the offside, not really in a good position to play that shot. Ball not quite full enough. Unfortunate not to get an edge, but he survives. He's got one more ball to survive in this over as Porter is in and bowls, and he's going to get a single here as he nudges it to extra cover. There's no extra cover fielder. He has to come around from mid-off, so he gets off the mark, Bohannon, so avoided the dreaded pair.
Yes.
But he'll have to face Cook at the end of the over. It's now 27 for 2. Bohannon on 1. Wells, he is on 13.
Yes, there's not a lot of respite for batsmen when they play Essex, because both Cook and Porter are very, very good bowlers. Neither of them is sort of lightning fast. There are many counties around the circuit that have probably got faster bowlers, but at the risk of sounding a little biased, and I try desperately on these commentaries not to sound biased in the least, but I would think there are very few counties that have got a better all-round bowling attack than Essex of the 18, really. There's no let up. Over the wicket now to the right-handed Bohannon, who shuffled sort of a pace down the wicket as he plays the shot. Turned just backward of square.
Dickie, both Porter and Wood, they are just in the 70s.
Yes.
Around 77, 78 maximum. So they're not particularly quick.
No, but naggingly accurate. As Cook moves in again and the noisy vehicle goes through the middle of Chelmsford, just behind us. Played defensively. And I mentioned that it was distinctly chilly yet again, as he's prone to do. Dean Elgar, the South African, possibly notices the change in temperature more than most, and I don't know the name of it. He has one of these sort of scarf type thing that goes up.
I heard Scott calling the name yesterday.
Yes, my wife did as well, and I can't remember what it was called. Oh, that gets the better of Bohannon outside the off stump, goes through the wicketkeeper.
Keeping a bit low again.
Yeah, it did keep low. But yes, this sort of I can't begin. It's like a half a balaclava almost. It covers, his eyes peep out over the top, so obviously can see what's going on. But his lower part of his face and his neck is all covered up by this white thing, for want of a better word. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. As Cook moves in and bowls. And that's just played very defensively, very correctly by Bohannon. Trickles back to the bowler. There was a picture in the Times last week of of Dean Elgar wearing this up at Trent Bridge last week. And obviously the temperatures are similarly low today. And a fellow South African who's standing next to him in the slip, Simon Harmer, he doesn't look much warmer either. Hands thrust in pockets until the ball has arrived, and that's the appeal for LBW. Seemed a genuinely confident appeal. Everybody went up, including the bowler, but it doesn't meet with the approval of the former Essex and Yorkshire player, James Middlebrook.
Oh,
I've just...
My word. That looked rather close.
We've got the benefit of the replay and the in our commentary box. So maybe Bohannon can count himself lucky, but it all works itself out in the end. That's played out to mid-on. I'm a great believer in swings and roundabouts. You lose some, you gain some. By the time you pack up playing, the goods have probably outweighed the bads. And would you subscribe to that view as a former professional?
You hope.
You hope.
You
Yes.
hope it balances.
Yes.
But 27-2, from our position, we have the benefit of being able to review a replay, and umpire doesn't have that benefit.
No, exactly.
But it was very, very close. So Porter will continue, but he will now bowl for the first time today to the left-handed Wells, who's taking guard, and 3 slips in play. Still the strong onside field that they're employing for both batters. That short mid-wicket, a square leg and a mid-on are the 3 fielders. Porter right arm rung the wicket down, bowls, and Wells is edging this one down to third man. All along the ground is a long chase, and it's pulled up. No, he's coming back for the 3rd run, and he will get it. The return is a good one, but Bohannon safely home. Wells goes to 16. The score now moves to 30 for 2, and right at that moment the sun also appears. And looking to my right, I can see good amount of spectators in this stand. They're all sitting patiently. Well, I would say today there are lots of hats and caps.
Yes.
and scarves and overcoats as Porter is into Bohannon and Bowles, and he drives, opens the face somewhat. He's going to get at least 2. There's a chase out to the extra cover boundary. So Bohannon gets another 2. He goes to 3. That was a pitched up delivery. Just a push drive. No one in the extra cover region, nobody in the cover region. There's a backward point, so Bohannon has acres of space on the offside as Porter hard in and Bowles, and he's running this one down to third man, and that man at backward point comes across to his left, restricts the batters to a single, so he goes to 4. The score goes now on to 33 for 2. Left-handed Wells now comes back on strike, and once again the field changes for the left-hander, and also Porter changes to around the wicket. So he's in now, and Bowles to Wells, and Wells is right forward to a full length delivery and just solidly defends it into the offside, and there is no run.
Yes, and the sun only made the briefest of appearances.
I think it lasted a couple of balls and
yes.
It has disappeared again as Porter currently has 2 for 13. He's in his 8th over. In Bowles, and Wells forward. That ball just squirts off the outer half of the bat out to cover. Can't score. For Wells, there are just 2 fielders saving a single on the offside. So there's 2 slips in place, a gully, cover, and a wideish mid-off. Those are the only 2 in front of the wicket on the offside, as Porter coming around the wicket, and Bowles, and Wells is getting that one off the inner part of the bat. He goes forward, he's going to get a single though. He runs out to long leg. That was the final delivery of the over, so he will maintain strike at the end of that over. Lancashire, they are 34 for 2, still trail by 197.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting first 25 minutes. First over conceded 12 runs, I think it was. And then we had a wicket. We've had a little bit of sunshine, and we've got a reserve wicket keeper, so it's all been crammed into the first 25 minutes. As Cook continues from the far end round the wicket to the left-handed Wells, who goes on the back foot and just plays it quietly and calmly, gets on top of the bounce, trickles out into the covers where, well no, not really the covers, and mid-off, where it's fielded by Shane Snater. And who just does a little bit of exercises, warming up. Maybe he's been given the nod that he'll be first change, which wouldn't surprise too many people anyway. There aren't that many options. As Cook moves in again and bowls. Again on the back foot, plays it this time into the gap on the offside, and they do go through for a very comfortable single. Field and the umpires change to accommodate the right-handed Bohannon. And Lancashire are 34 for 2. Still 35 for 2. Thank you, Roland. Roland was holding up 5 fingers. Well, to be pedantic, 4 fingers and a thumb. Yes, 35 for 2. Thank you. That one run hadn't clicked up. Oh, and that gets the better of the batsman as it goes through to McKenna, keeping behind the wicket. So they still trail by 196.
Yeah, lovely delivery that by Cook, just pulling the length back but drawing Bohannon onto the front foot. Good movement and generous bounce.
Cook again. Moves in, bowls, and again, Bohannon is inclined to move into the shot, just a pace and a half, and sort of shuffle a chassis down the wicket. Gets to the pitch a bit, plays it quietly, defensively, no addition to the score of 35 for 2. As yet again the sun comes out, but yet again I predict it won't be for long, because you only have to look at the sky and there's the odd gap in the clouds, but those gaps are few and far between and not very big. That's just Met coming forward to play it. Just turns it slightly on the onside. And still not a very big crowd. It's always good here in the members' enclosure, which is where we are, in the stand away to our right, the Tom Pearce stand to which Roland referred, is always comfortably occupied. But the public part of the ground on the far side is, well, be exaggeration to say you could count them on the one hand, but you could, yeah, there are a few, and not too many of them anyway. Just played out defensively, square on the wicket on the offside to complete the over, and Lancashire are still 35 for 2, which means they trail by 196 with 8 wickets in hand.
Yes, that over negotiated there by Bohannon. He's on 4, Lancashire 35 for 2, and looks like a change in bowling as Porter is going to have a bit of a breather and Snater is going to replace him from the Alistair Cook in. Sun still shining at the moment. He's going to be bowling to the left-handed Wells, and Wells is on 18. 2 slips in a galley as Snater comes around the wicket to bowl his first ball to Wells, and Wells is forward and that one squares him up, runs off the face of the bat. He's looking to play that one straight down the pitch and it runs out to cover point. There is no run. 35 for 2 Wells, 18 Bohannon 4. The man out this morning, Williams, was caught by substitute wicketkeeper Kennett off the bowling of Porter. So Porter's taken both wickets, and after that first ball they've decided that the helmet is required. So it looks like it's for the wicketkeeper. So keeper's making early decision to come up under the stumps after 1 ball. I would imagine Wells would have been looking to get out of his crease to negate any swing or movement, but no, he'll have to steer firmly anchored as Snater coming around the wicket and bowls to Wells, and Wells is clipping this one off his pads but cannot beat the fielder at square leg. That one went all along the ground quite quickly, but easily fielded at square leg. 35 for 2 as Sun disappears once more. But as you said, Dickie, for Sunday, a reasonable crowd in on at this moment for Sunday morning as Snater is in and bowls, and Wells is forward, very watchful, just making sure he's got everything covered, defends the ball back to the bowler. No run. Still trailed by 196, so it's been, apart from that one over where there were a couple of boundaries, it's been very slow going for Lancashire this morning.
Yes, they're scoring exactly 2 and over, so the screen tells us.
Snater in bowls, and that's again turned off the pads, but this time it goes straight to mid wicket. The umpire showing a little bit of concern for where Snater's foot is landing. And Snater just walking briskly back to his mark. He turns and comes running in with the keeper standing up. 2 slips in a gully in place. Bowls to Wells, and Wells is solidly forward, and that ball runs off the face of the bat straight out to cover point. It's a good accurate ball in here by Snater. Hasn't bowled any loose deliveries that Wells can put away. Wells have been pretty watchful this morning, as Snater, he's got 1 ball left in his first over. He's bowling from this Alistair Cook end, which is, he runs away from us now and bowls, and Wells has to watch this one carefully, which he does, and defends it on the offside. So a maiden over to start with there for Snater. Pressure maintained at the end of the over. Lancashire with a deficit of 196. There are 35 for 2.
I haven't mentioned yet that we'd warmly welcome emails. Our email address is the same as it's been for the last few seasons, although I still have to look it up as this is my debut for the season. It's bbcessexcricket@gmail.com. Anything, any view you have, or any question, or, well, not so much question, we're not, you know, we only commentate, we're not, well, I always say of myself, I'm only an enthusiast, not an expert, but we'd like to hear your views anyway, and on Essex cricket, Lancashire cricket, any cricket really. As next delivery comes in, there's an enormous great bumblebee has just come into the box.
It's a friendly one. He comes
oh yes, they're friendly ones. Yes,
he comes every day.
Oh really? Yes.
I think actually I think it's Scott's pet. He brought it down from Lancashire with him, and
yes,
he lets it out during the day.
It is. It's just sitting on the desk in front of us now. Now, if my colleague Paul Newton were here now, he would be absolutely terrified. But they don't do you any harm. They're friends. You almost feel you want to stroke it, but maybe that would be ill-advised. As that's just played out in the offside. Addition to the score. Well, I just hope this bumblebee survives in these rather low temperatures.
Yes, I think he's probably seeking solace inside the commentary box.
So still 35 for 2, haven't had a run for quite a while. But that's not the most important thing from the Lancashire's point of view at the moment. And next delivery. It's well played there, because he had to adjust his shot there to Behan, and he came down looking to get on the front foot, which he has been doing, but was obliged to get on the back foot, and then with a bit of a flick of the wrist played it backward of square on the offside, but only straight to Porter. So still no addition to that score of 35 for 2.
Cook just a little bit too short to Bohannon at the moment. I think he needs to bowl a fuller length, not a half volley length or driving length, but slightly fuller, so that Bohannon has to feel for the ball instead of being able to stand the back foot in.
So Cook again moves in, bowls to Bohannon, who well, there's a appeal for LBW, but I would say that was rather born of optimism, since he had shuffled again a pace or so down the wicket, and I'd have thought he's got his back to us admittedly, but I'd have thought it hit him around about the knee roll.
Probably height as well.
Oh, yeah, above the knee roll, well above the knee roll, outside the off stump. It had little going for it really. And yeah, I think the slips were of the same opinion as I, because they didn't join in the appeal. I hope this bumblebee's all right. I hope he's just sunbathing, because he hasn't moved for the last couple of minutes. He has found a little bit of sunshine on the top of our desk.
Yeah.
As that's worked away on the onside, backward of square down towards the scoreboard. 1 run accrues as a result. And just taking a picture on my phone of this bumblebee, which I may well post on social media for those who found it difficult to believe there's a bumblebee around under these conditions. So 36 for 2. Wells not out at 18, half of them, and Bohannon 5 to his account. As the next delivery comes in, and that's just worked way backward of square on the onside. They go down for a single as it's fielded by Porter, and the end of the over, and Lancashire. I'll make sure they've clicked that one up. Yes, they have. 37 for 2, trailed by 194.
Yeah, and I think that may well be the end of that spell for Cook. He's been bowling right from the start this morning, so I think he probably needs a bit of a break. So it's 37 for 2 as once again the sun disappears and those cloud covers here again, and Snater will try to utilize that cloud cover. Keeper standing up to Snater, and Wells will take straight as Snater right arm around the wicket in bowls, and that's just short of a length, and Wells gets into line and just defends on the onside, and there's no run. Wells is on 19. He's been very watchful this morning. Not first innings raced away with some aggressive strokes, but obviously realizing there's a different situation now. It requires him to bat for a long time. He settles in now as Snater bowls. This one squares him up and runs off the face of the bat, goes out to cover point, and there is no run.
Oh, we've had lots of emails in today. Thank you. The word that I was looking for to describe the garment that that is being worn by Dean Elgar is a snood, apparently. Thank you to Keith and Diana. Anybody else who...
Right, Snater's in. He's not wearing a snood as he bowls, and that's a good delivery. Bang on target and well played by Wells. Very watchful. Comes forward and ball comes back along the pitch to the bowler, and there's no run.
Oh, Jeff also says it's called a snood. I don't think I'd ever heard, and I've certainly never used the word snood before.
Well, I heard that Scott talking about it yesterday, and
right,
that was the first I heard too. So maybe it's nothing new, but Snater is in and bowls, and he's edging this one down towards third man. Should get 2 comfortable runs. The chase is on, returns on its way, but Wells comes through for 2. He goes into the 20s. He goes to 21. And score moves to 39 for the loss of 2.
Looks to me like a word that a crossword compiler would use if he's confronted with an awkward combination of letters and he's got to fill in the gaps. Oh yes, he thinks there's there's a word called snood that would fit in.
Snater round the wicket, bowls, and short of a length, and comfortably played by Wells, back along the pitch, just covering everything up, getting right into line, staying nice and compact, playing the ball gently back to the bowler. So he stays on 21. There's 1 ball left in this over. It's the 20th over of the innings, so scoring rate 1.97 at the moment. What's important is not to lose wickets as Snater bowls, and that's forced off the back foot, but he won't beat cover point. And the over comes to an end, and it's 39 for 2. He stays on 21, Wells, and with him Bohannon on 5. The deficit still 192 as Snater's over comes to an end. He currently has none for 2.
Right, well, I'm trying to take these emails in the chronological order. Jerry from Blackpool, whom I had the great pleasure of meeting last season when I was up at Blackpool for 4 very splendid days. And apparently we've converted him to a #1 Essex fan. He says, well, I think this probably is heresy. as a long-term Lancashire fan. You say, I'm not even disappointed at Lancashire. As you said, having a lot of work to do. So far I've watched each Essex game and was sorry that they did not get a result against, he's put Surrey, I think he means Kent. Yes, that finished up as a draw. I hope you and your wife are keeping well. Yes, fine, thank you. And Jerry's going to be listening all day, so we'll no doubt send further missives, as he put it, as Cook moves in and bowls. Without appeal for LBW, this time he has got him. And he walked into that shot. We'll look at the replay, but yeah, the umpire didn't seem to have any hesitation whatsoever. Bohannon it is who's out for 5, and Lancashire are 39 for 3. And I turn to my right, expecting to see Roland, and I see Scott instead. So
good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning, Dick.
Welcome to the airwaves. And yeah, your boys are got a lot of. I use the phrase got a lot of work to do. They've got even more work to do now.
Yeah, and a bit of a sticky pickle here, Lancashire.
Yes.
I mean, there was quite a big LBW shout to Bohannon a little bit earlier on in his innings, which looked pretty close. And again, we've seen one replay of that, and that looks like a pretty solid decision, that doesn't it, by the umpire. And that's another big wicket. I mean, the night watchman, obviously, Will Williams, from an Essex point of view, quite nice to get rid of him nice and early. We saw yesterday the Essex night watchman, Sam Cook, frustrate Lancashire for the entire morning session. He batted right the way through until lunch. So they got rid of Williams early, but then they're into the proper batters, and Bohannon is an absolute key wicket for them to get. If he gets in, he tends to bat pretty well and bat pretty long. He had a magnificent year last season, and he's one of the better batters in the Lancashire side. So to have got him pretty early is it represents a pretty good 45 minutes for Essex, and what has been so far a good game for them.
Yes, he's been replaced by George Balderson, another left-hander, who had quite a good game so far. He took 3 wickets.
Yeah, he bowled pretty steadily yesterday. I spoke to him actually last night, and he felt like he maybe just went for a few too many runs, but was pretty pleased with it, obviously, to have taken the wickets. And he said, look, we did just about all we could do in the 2 sessions after lunch. It wasn't a good morning yesterday for Lancashire, it was one to forget, and they came back pretty well in the afternoon.
As Cook right arm round the wicket, and Balderson just plays that defensively. In addressing Jerry's email, I forgot to point out that he kindly has looked up McKenna, who's born 20 years ago in just down the road in Basildon. So thank you very much. Played a few second team games. So he's been given a chance behind the sticks as Cook moves in, bowls, and played off thick inside half of the bat, but all the way along the ground. Stopped at short mid wicket, and had a text or a social media message from Rich, my fellow commentator. You obviously weren't on at the top of the show, which is fair enough. You've got other things to do in your life than listen to us, but although all those other things obviously play second fiddle, Roland Butcher and Scott Reed are with me today and tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. That's down the leg side, well taken by McKenna, diving away to his right. Not a very accurate delivery there from Cook.
There will be a tomorrow, don't worry. There will be
a tomorrow, but
tomorrow will exist for you.
Tomorrow will exist.
It might not be here.
It's not the end of the world today. No.
No, you'll have one. You might have a free day tomorrow. You never know.
Yes. Trouble is, when I have free days, I'm usually found plenty to do, and it's no longer free. So as Cook moves in, bowls, and that's worked away square on the onside. No addition to the score. I was getting through some of these emails, and I'll get back to them. Well, that's right, of course the wicket fell when I was looking at them. So this, I won't describe every time the sun comes out, because otherwise 30 seconds later I'll be having to say, and the sun's gone back in again. As Cook moves in. Oh, 4 runs down to third man. Streaky, off the edge, not under control. But, as I've always been saying over the last 25 years I've been doing this, a streaky 4 through the slips to the boundary in the scorebook looks just the same as the most elegant of cover drives all along the boundary to the extra cover boundary. They look all the same. At end of the over, 43 for 3.
Yeah, just took the shine off what was a good Sam Cook over. That was on the brink of a wicket maiden, and with that streaky 4 down to third man, so 43 for 3. Lancashire still trailed by 188 runs, just to make Essex bat again. George Bolderson last night saying that if Essex can score 380, then so can we. And if they did that, then they'd have themselves a little lead going into the final day, but that is a long, long way down the line. Cook and Porter and Snater started well again for Essex this morning. It is Luke Wells on strike, Ronnie McKenna, the replacement keeper, standing right up behind the stumps. Couple of slips and a gully. Here's Snater from around the wicket. Oh, he's bowled him.
Oh.
And Wells has gone for 21, and Snater has the 4th wicket, and Lancashire's second innings is in danger of crumbling a little like their first. 43 for 4 Lancashire. Wells has gone. Snater from around the wicket to the left-hander, and the ball rattles into the top of the off stump, and Wells has to depart. And it's been an outstanding 50 minutes so far for the home side.
Yes, it has. That to me came as quite a surprise, because Wells had looked pretty secure and hadn't played too many false shots, but yeah, that certainly got the better of him. I think it may have been helped by slightly, or maybe more than slightly, by the fact that McKenna has been keeping standing up.
Yeah.
And therefore it did sort of restrict Wells' almost instinct to shuffle down the wicket at pace, or a pace and a half. So yeah, whatever the reason, Essex augment their already strong position by getting their visitors at 43 for 4.
Yeah, I think credit to McKenna. I mean, he's only 19 still. This is his first chance in the first team. He's played some second team cricket, but he's been asked to stand up here, which is something that Pepper did through the course of the first innings, because certainly Wells and Jennings like to advance, like to use the feet, get down the pitch, and bat out of their crease. So the young lad who's come in to replace Pepper takes the gloves, and I'm sure there's a few butterflies in his stomach this morning when he went out to keep wicket in the first team for the first time. Has done a fabulous job here, right up behind the stumps now. And I agree with you, Dick. I think that decision to stand up there has helped create that wicket.
Yes, yes.
Because Wells could play it in a different way if the keeper stood back.
Yes, if he'd stood back, he'd have got shuffled forward and got to the pitch a bit, and yes, been a totally different story. Totally different kettle of fish.
Tom Bruce is the new batter. Snater's having a good game. He picked up 4 wickets in the first innings, and he's picked up his first in the second innings. It's 5 in the match so far for Snater. Again, the keeper standing up. But the right-hander Tom Bruce, a New Zealander, he's one of Lancashire's overseas players this year. 2 slips in the gully behind him. Snater comes over the wicket and bowls to Bruce, and that's steered away down towards third man. Sam Cook is chasing after it, puts the slide in. It's a decent effort from Cook, but the ball does cross the boundary rope, and it will be 4 to Bruce. And he gets off the mark with that.
Thanks to the Crumbler for his email pointing out that Ronnie McKenna kept the second team game at Merchant Taylor's School, Middlesex, towards the end of last year. He looks a serious talent, he says, and may be perhaps a contributory reason to the club surprisingly letting go Will Buttleman last year. Yes, he did.
47 for 4. And it's Snater over the wicket to Bruce, who defends. The ball trickles up towards Jordan Cox, who comes up from mid-off to field, and there's no run. 47 for 4 though. Goodness, Lancashire still trailed by 100 and 84 runs. Staring down the barrel here, Lancashire. Essex are the only side so far to have picked up a victory in this year's county championship, with every game last week drawn. It looks like we're going to get some results this weekend, and looks like Essex are eyeing up a second win in 3 games to start the new season. And I've got 2 slips and 2 gullies. Deepish point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a deep backward square leg. Snated to Bruce, and that's clipped off his pads down towards fine leg for a single. And Bruce moves on to 5. And now Lancashire 48 for 4. Deficit of 183.
Thanks, Jeff, for your email from Madeira, off the Portuguese coast, if memory serves me right. Thank you for your opening paragraph. It's good to be back. He said he's been busy processing sugarcane to make rum and driving tourists up mountains so they can mountain bike down again. Well, that sounds a reasonable way of passing the summer.
Snater around the wicket to the left-hander Balderson, who's off the back foot and just nudging the ball away to mid-wicket where Jordan Cox fields, and there's no run.
He says he's hoping for a successful season and that Colchester survive. Yeah, I don't know an awful lot about football, to be honest. Rugby's my main winter game. I do know that Colchester put in a couple of good wins in the last week of the season or so that ensured they're still at least in the Football League next year. Unless there's more going on as regards the word survive.
Snated to complete the over. Oh, it's a big appeal for an LBW here. Oh, he's given it! It's 2 wickets in the over, and Lancashire are 5 down. And Balderson departs for 4. And Snater started the over with a wicket and ends it with his 2nd wicket of the innings, his 6th of the match. And, well, we've not yet had an hour's play this morning. And Lancashire are 5 down, 48 for 4, Balderson LBW to Snater. And staring down the possibility of a huge defeat here in Chelmsford.
Yes, Balderson LBW Snater for 4.
Yeah, he fancied that straight away, didn't he? Up went the keeper and the slips, and bowling right on round the wicket to the left-hander, so the umpire has to adjudge as to whether he thinks that's straightened up enough. An element of it potentially sliding down, but there's been 1 or 2, I think, LBWs that maybe fall into that category again. We've just seen a slightly awkward-looking replay here, and that's not because of the fault of the streaming guys. It's just the fact that the sun's on the monitor. I couldn't really see it, but it looked a reasonable decision, didn't it? On first viewing, 48 for 5. So George Bell joins Tom Bruce.
With Lancashire still trailing by 183, so we're told.
We've had our first result. No, we haven't. Apologies. Got far too excited there. We've got Durham setting Worcestershire a whopping target because they've declared on 397 for 5. So Durham lead have set Worcestershire 457 to win. I'll just have a little look at some of the other scores while we wait for the new batter to get himself ready. Dan Lawrence has reached a 50 for Surrey. Surrey are 240 for 1 in their game at Kent, replying to a Kent total of 244. So Surrey look well on course to secure a very substantial first innings lead, and Middlesex have lost an early wicket. They've got a target of 158 to beat Yorkshire, but Mark Stoneman's gone early on to Ben Code, and Middlesex are 1 for 1, chasing 158 to win.
That was the last ball of the over, so Cook to continue from the far end. Moves in bowls. That's met with a solid defence from the tall New Zealander, Tom Bruce. Quite a commanding figure at the crease. Big man. I've never seen him before, but that's unsurprising since he's the new overseas player. And Essex understandably cock a hoop at the moment. They could hardly have wished for a better opening hour of this third and could possibly be last day. That's just worked away on the onside. No addition to the score. An email from Nick. He's basically welcoming me to the airwaves again, and he says, I believe the muffler thing is called a snood. Yes, I'm being made aware of that. You're never too old to learn something, and you know, that is, if nothing else, I've learnt that today. That's another appeal which I would say is distinctly optimistic. So I said a little while ago, only Tom Bruce is a big man. He got well forward and probably hit him on the knee roll. It was unlikely to have been given. And if it had been, the batsman would have had every justification in feeling more than a little aggrieved.
Yeah, he got well forward there, didn't he, Bruce? Probably outside the line of off stump. Was quite high in and around the knee roll. Enough doubt for the umpire to say not out.
Way! The leg stump, I think it is, or it's certainly one of the stumps, knocked out of the ground, off stump. And, 48 for 6 are the visitors.
Not much doubt about that, was there?
No, that didn't need the umpire to
no, I didn't,
have any say in that. And Bruce is out, comprehensively bowled. As I say, losing the stump in the process. And
well, he's gone for the drive, the ball's come back in, it's beat him on the inside edge, and it has rattled the woodwork. And it's been just about the perfect morning for Essex. 6 down now, 48 for 6 Lancashire. They are slumping without too much of a fight here, really. And Essex lining up a 3-day win to make it 2 wins from 3 games this season. Lancashire still 180 behind as Matty Hurst comes out to join George Bell.
yes, and Scott goes off to do his 1 o'clock update. As soon as he's done his 1 o'clock update, he'll be back and he'll be joined by Roland Butcher, and just after 1 o'clock. Speaking of which, we had an email from Paul. Who says he's listening to the Essex commentary. Roland Butcher in particular, because I had the pleasure of sitting next to him on a train from Berkshire to Paddington a few months ago, and chatted to him for 20 minutes. 20 odd minutes. I suppose he means approximately 20 minutes rather than 20 very strange minutes. He says he's a smashing guy. Yes, he is indeed. Yes, I had the pleasure of working with Roland up at Headingley. Not sure it was last year or the year before. Year before, I think. And he's about to come back and join me. And then, as I say, just after 1 o'clock, Scott will come and join Roland. Let's just play defensively. No addition to the score. And Roland has indeed joined me. So it could not have been a better opening hour for the home side, could it really?
Well, I think it's been the perfect start.
As Cook moves in again and bowls, and that's just played defensively by Hurst. And end of another good over. So the wickets have fallen, well, the wickets today have gone at 22, 39, 43, 48 and 48. Just, well, very disappointing from the Lancashire point of view. And yeah, thanks Diana, she says it's called a snood as well. And so does Keith Williams.
Yes, I've had a few messages as well to confirm, so it must be a snood. So, Lancashire and all sorts of bother here in this first session at Chelmsford. And Porter, who currently has 3 for 14, will continue, and he's going to bowl to Bell, who's yet to get off the mark. 2 slips and a gully in place as Snyder bowls and he's forward. He's going to get off the mark as that one's played gently out to cover, and he gets the single. So Bell gets off the mark. The score goes to 49 for 6. We are now in over number 24.
Thanks, Peter, for your email. Peter from Brentwood, who asked me to repeat the names that we now have of the ends. The end from which we're commentating, the River End, is known as the Sir Alistair Cook end, and Graham Gooch end is what was previously known as the Hayes Close end. We're given to understand that they chose the far end to call it the Gooch end because it's nearer to the east end where Gooch comes from.
Snyder bowls to Hurst, and he's trying to turn this one on the leg side, misses, and it's taken cleanly there by substitute wicketkeeper Kenner, who's on for Pepper. And Surrey really in a bit of a hurry this morning, and just really starting the day just 1 wicket down. Got rid of the night watchman early, got the batters in, and the seam bowlers have been bit of sun, plenty of cloud, very chilly, and really must be a situation where the medium fast bowlers get the chance to use these conditions as Cook has been operating all morning while Scott gets himself together. I will do this first ball as Cook is in and bowls, and he's forward. Bell just meeting that nicely out on the front foot, plays it up to bit off, and there's no run. Scott, good afternoon.
Dick's brought his own cushion.
I can see that, yeah.
Lovely. Oh, that's beautiful. That's very soft on the buttocks, is that? Very nice. Thank you. Just a little extra comfort, like a VIP seat, this.
And the thing is, he only bought one.
Yes, yes, well, I've got it. I'm not giving it away.
This delivery is beating him outside the off stump, and Bell on the walk, And the ball goes past the outside edge, and there's no run.
It's a Lord's cricket ground cushion as well. Excellent.
Nothing but the best.
Nothing
for
but the
Dickie.
best. No, absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. It's not gone very well, has it, this morning for Lancashire?
It's been a struggle.
Yeah.
It's been a real struggle. As Cook bowls, and he's looking for a single there. He just pushed that gently into the offside. Took a couple of paces, stopped. Hurst did similarly. He also stopped, and the right decision was made in the end not to go for a single, because the last thing you want with the position you're in right now is a run out. It's hard enough as it is right now. 49 for 6. As Cook in bowls, he beats him outside the off stump again. That ball just turned him around and going through to the wicket keeper, just dropping short of the keeper. So that one died a bit on the wicket, but the movement was there for sure, as it just drew him into the delivery and just went away from him. So Cook, yeah, Cook's been good today. Bowls, and that's a lovely shot, clipped off the pads down towards long leg, just short of the boundary, and Cushy does the fielding. The return is on its way. 50 up for Lancashire. They're now 51 for 6, and with those two, Bell, he goes on to 3.
Yeah, Bell coming into this game on the back of 99 last week against Hampshire. He's run out on 99 was George Bell. Matty Hurst at the start of his first-class career, but both two young batters for Lancashire, so both will be determined, I'm sure, to make it as difficult as they can.
This delivery is on the stumps, and it's defended into the offside. Actually, that was Porter who was bowling from that Graham Gooch's end. He completes another over, Porter. That's the 10th he's completed. Currently has 3 for 16, and Lancashire in all sorts of trouble at 51 for the loss of 6.
Yeah, scorecard doesn't make pretty reading, does it? Single figures, Jennings for 3, Williams for 6, Barnum for 5, Bolson for 4, Bruce for 5. Wells making 21. 2 wickets for Snater, 3 for Porter, 1 for Cook, leaving Bell and Hurst, they're not out. Batters elsewhere, I mentioned that Durham have declared at 397 for 5. This match is taking place at Kidderminster, so Worcestershire have got a big total of 400 and plenty, 458 to win. So they just started their reply. Worcestershire 11 without loss in that game. Middlesex, having lost an early wicket, they've got a relatively modest total to chase against Yorkshire. And now 10 for 1. There's Snater over the wicket, and Hurst gets forward and just guides the ball down towards backward point. Think a couple of times about taking one and decide against it. Score remains on 51 for 6. So Middlesex 10 for 1 now. Lost Mark Stoneman early on with the bowling of Ben Code. Their target is 158 to win. And Middlesex are 10 for 1 at Lords. Run down the other scores in Division 1 of the County Championship. Snater with 3 slips waiting, comes over the wicket, balls. Hurst gets forward and defends to mid-off, and there's no run. Hampshire 179 for 1, replying to a Warwickshire first innings score of 455. Surrey's first innings looking to go from strength to strength. They're piling on the runs, 263 for 1. Don Sibley's 120 not out, and Dan Lawrence is 64 not out. So now in front, they lead Kent by 19 runs, and they've still got 9 wickets remaining in their first innings. The defending champions. Snated to Hurst. Again, that's defended, and there's no run. Nottinghamshire 85 for 2 at Taunton. They did lose a wicket early on this morning. Hasib Hamid was out pretty early. They've got Will Young and Joe Clark batting. Nottinghamshire 87 for 2 against Somerset, still trailed by 174 runs. mentioned already the Worcestershire-Durham game. I mentioned Middlesex-Yorkshire in Division 2. There's 3 other Division 2 games. The keeper standing up now with her still on naught. Snater in and bowls and he defends. And there is no run. Derbyshire 124 for 6. Mickey Arthur's Derbyshire against a Leicestershire side that are rejuvenated, really. They're flying. They've made big runs in that first innings. 574 for 7 declared. And Mickey Arthur's Derbyshire are 124 for 6. At Northamptonshire against Glamorgan. Northants are 358 for 5. And they lead Glamorgan by 87 runs. And there's one other match. Snater sets off and bowls to Hurst, who's off the back foot and defends, and there's no run. Sussex are 314 for 7 in Hove against Gloucestershire, and they trail Gloucestershire by 102 runs. Gloucestershire made 417, so you're up to date with the scores on the doors elsewhere. 51 for 6 here at Chelmsford. Lancashire a whopping 180 runs behind. Hurst still on naught. Snater from the Alistair Cook end, the old River end. Keeper standing up and 3 slips waiting here. Snater in and bowls, left by Hurst, taken by Ronnie McKenna, who's keeping wicket for Essex. It's a maiden for Snater, and Lancashire 51 for 6, they'll trail by 180. Goodness, it's been an eventful hour and 15 minutes.
Well, certainly has. And Lancashire will be hoping that the night watchman could have hung around for an extended period. That didn't happen. Once Williams went, wickets have fallen fairly regular intervals since then. Hence, Lancashire find themselves in this position at 51 for 6. And so Porter will continue. He's got 10 overs, he's got 3 for 16, so he's caused a lot of problems for the batters. He's in now to Bell, in and bowls, and Bell's forward, right out in front of him, solidly defending that ball back along the pitch to the bowler, and there's no run. We're attacking field, and as you would expect when you've got the opposition in disarray, keep the pressure on. So there's 3 slips. There's a backward point, Whitish mid-off. As Porter is in now and bowls, and that's nicely worked off the pads by Bell, but half stopped at mid-wicket. Can't get a single. So Bell still, he stays on 3. Hurst yet to get off the mark.
Yeah, this accurate bowling from Snater, from Cook, from Porter. They only used 3 bowlers. They only needed 3 bowlers so far this morning. They've barely put a ball in in a bad position. They've been on the money all the way through.
Porter bowls, and that's a lovely shot. Should get a boundary here. That's beautifully played by Bell. He looked good in the first innings. Didn't get a big score, but he looked very technically correct. And this one was a good shot. It was just slightly short of length. And he just moved nicely onto the back foot and just stroked it past point out to the boundary for 4. So he gets the boundary. The score goes now to 55 for the loss of 6, and with that, Hurst goes to, so Bell goes to 7. That was a lovely shot. Porter, see how he responds. Bowls, and he beats him with an absolute jaffa. And well taken there by the keeper, who eventually had to dive to his right. Perhaps that ball looked as if it was angling in, so the keeper would have been looking for the ball to go leg side, and then ends up having to dive across to his right. Takes it with both hands, but there was no nick. A lovely delivery from Porter. He's in again. Bowls to Bell, and this time he's edging this one down to 3rd man. There's runs here. I think there'll only be 2. The return is on its way. First bounce, but Bell gets through for 2. He now goes on to 9. The score to 57 for 6.
Well, this is not an unfamiliar situation for Bell, playing here at Essex. He made his debut here in a pretty low scoring affair a couple of years ago. Lancashire all out for 130 in the first innings. He made 16. And then Lancashire were all out in the second innings for 73, and he top scored with 24.
Porter bowls, and that's a lovely shot, clipped off the pads, but he's only going to get a single as she comes off the long leg boundary. Return comes in, so he gets a single, goes to 10. The score now is 58 for 6. That was the final delivery of Porter's over, so Bell will take strike next over, and it is 58 for 6.
So yes, it's not unfamiliar territory for Bell to be batting at Chelmsford with wickets tumbling around him, albeit that was also a game where Essex were all out for 59, and Lancashire actually won the match on a pretty spicy pitch.
Looks like Thane. Is it Thane coming into that?
He is, yeah. We saw him pick up his first championship wicket for Essex in the Lancashire first innings. He got the wicket of Tom Bailey. So Noah Thane replacing Shane Snater from the Alistair Cook end. Snater's spell, 5 over spell, 5 overs, 2 maidens, 2 for 8 for Snater on this old river end. As he got on strike, it's Bell, isn't it, on strike with 2 slips and a gully. Thane bowls to Bell. It's just dropped away into the offside, and Jordan Cox, with his white snood tucked up behind his back of his neck and covering most of his face, he's catching up with the ball. Bell takes a single, just rolled away through the offside for 1, so he moves on to 11. And Lancashire are 59 for 6 to bring Matthew Hurst on strike. Noah Thane sets off again, with a little step forward, and then runs it down to third man, down towards the boundary, and he's timed it well enough for 4. Just advanced a step or 2 towards the bowler, and able to guide it away to the right of Critchley at gully. 4 runs for Hurst. He gets off the mark with that.
Yeah, it was a decent delivery, really. He's just pushing. It's quite fortunate that it's going all along the ground. It's thick, healthy edge, but the outfield is so quick. He gets off the mark.
63 for 6. Thane bouncing his way back in over the wicket to Hurst. A bit of width this time, and Hurst cuts the ball and looks right at the top end of his bat there, so maybe the cue end of the bat, quite middle as he was hoping for. Gets 1 out towards deep backward point. Moves on to 5. 64 for 6 now. Brings Bell back on strike. Lancashire try and find a partnership of some description. Just try and settle down what has been a frantic hour and 15 minutes where they've lost 5 wickets. Thane to Bell. It's off the back foot and guided down to gully. And there is no run. Remains on 11. 64 for 6. And there's a clatter of wickets like we saw through the course of that first hour. I mean, at some point you tend to get a partnership along the way somewhere that calms things down and frustrates the bowling side. I guess you're desperately hoping that this might be the start of one. Thane to Bell. That's tucked away off the pads. Clipped out towards deep backward square leg. Moves on to 12. The score now moves on to 65 for 6. It's 166 runs behind. Brings Hurst back on strike. So Hurst has got fielders out on the leg side boundary, fine leg, deep fine leg, and a deep square leg. There's a deep point as well. Noah Thane for Essex to Hurst. It's pulled in front of square on the leg side for 1 run. Snater out in the deep, scoops it up, and a loopy throw in towards the gloves of Ronnie McKenna, the Essex wicket keeper. It's the end of the over. 28 overs gone of the Lancashire second innings. 66 for 6. Trailed by 165, the Red Rose. Bell on 12 and Hurst on 6.
And Thane completing his first over, going for 8 in that over as the sun makes an appearance again. And Lancashire still in a bit of bother. That deficit still there, 165, so a long way to go. 66 for 6. As Porter's in bowls, and that's solidly defended by Bell, out to extra cover, looking for a single initially, but having to go back. It's her, sorry. Just looking for a single, and the ball goes out to extra cover. Now the change of fielders. Square leg comes across to take that position at Wade Ishmael off. Score stays at 66 for 6. Porter in and bowls outside the off stump, and Hurst offers no shot to avoid, just slightly short of length, going away from the right-handed batter. He just lets it go safely through to the keeper. Bell is on 12, Hurst on 4. Current run rate 2.33. Still got 85 overs after this one remaining today, so it's a long day. Lancashire really need to hang in there as Porter in bowls and beats him. He's on the walk, Hurst, but it goes past the outside edge. We've seen that quite a bit this morning, and Porter really has bent his back today. He's put in a lot of hard work. That ball just coming back at the right-handed batsman. So Porter's now in his 12th over. He's operating from the Graham Gooch end. He's got 3 slips as he's in now, and bowls, and this time Hurst rightfully goes forward, shoulders, arms, let that one go through to the keeper.
Well, there's kind of individual pride here, isn't it, at stake, and individual things to try and achieve. I mentioned that Hurst is starting his career. He's been given the chance to keep wicket in the first 3 matches for Lancashire, so he's been picked as their preferred wicket-keeper batter. And there's a chance to try and get some runs in what is a very, very difficult situation.
It sure is, as this delivery is right forward and covers that one well and defends it into the onside. And fielded there at mid-wicket.
Bell's a little bit more advanced in his career, but not massively amounts. You know, he's I think maybe 16th first-class match for George Bell. So again, he's still in the early stages of his career in the first team. So there's 2 young batters here with the team struggling. See if they can try and piece something together.
Porter in bowls, and he's going to get a single here now as he strokes this one out to extra cover, and he will keep the strike. At the end of that over, it's now 67 for the loss of 6.
Yes, super stuff, isn't it, by Porter? 3 for 24 from 12 overs. The bowling figures for Essex in this second innings: Cook 11 overs, 1 for 23. Porter 12 overs, 3 for 24. Shane Snater 5 overs, 2 for 8. And Noah Thane is about to start his second over from the old River end, the Alistair Cook end now. He's got Hurst waiting, his third. Thane in and bowls, and Hurst up onto his toes there and guides the ball away to point. And there's no run. Yeah, those snoods that you've not heard of before, Butch, you won't have a massive need for them in Barbados, mate.
No, but I'm not there right now, so
maybe you could make a
it
bit
could
of a
come.
purchase.
It could come in handy.
It could just be your England. Keep it in your England travelling bag.
Yeah.
Bring it back with you next time you come. It's Jordan Cox that's got one wrapped around the back of his head and covering his ears and most of his face. Thane bowls, Hurst forward. There's Cox again from extra cover to field. Scoops it up and with a bit of fizz on it sends it into the gloves of McKenna. And there's no run. 67 for 6. So we've got 40 minutes until lunch. It's a slightly lengthier morning session again. It's 1 the lunch, and we've got 100 and, well, potentially 104 overs in the day as we make up for time that we lost on the first day. Thane bowls to Hurst, top edge over the slips, and down towards the boundary, thumps into the advertising board, the Vitality advertising board, and it's gone for 4 to Hurst. He moves to 11 now, 71 for 6.
Yeah, short and wide, and Thane obviously a little bit more pace than the others. This one's cut high and down to third man for 4.
Dean Elgar at first slip and Simon Harmer at second. He went sailing high above their heads. And there's a gap to Critchley, who's at gully. There's a deep backward point. Extra cover, mid-off, mid-on. There's a deep square leg and a fine leg. Thane bowls. Brings Hurst forward. The ball slides away past the edge of the bat into the gloves of the keeper.
Good delivery, that. Good line, good length, and pace was good pace as well.
Just brought him forward, didn't it? Just tempt him into trying to play a shot. Just a little bit of nip away and into the gloves of the keeper. Impressive championship debut for Noah Thane so far. Sets off again to Hurst. Again, he's on the walk, just a step or so down the pitch. Just drops it away into the offside. Calls Bell through for a single. Moves on to 12. It's now 72 for 6. With 1 ball left of the over, trailed by 159 Lancashire. Tap of the bat from George Bell. Thane at the top of his mark. Squad number 8 for Noah Thane. He's right on over the wicket to Bell. It's turned into the onside. And Lancashire's batter. Just a little clip away to mid-wicket. Keeps the strike, George Bell, so he's unbeaten on 13. 73 for 6. And still 158 runs behind.
Yes, and the partnership's starting to develop. That's going to be key. There's not a lot to come after this pair. And looks like Snater, like he's coming back into the attack.
Yeah, into the kind of the bowlers really next. Bailey, Blatherwick, and Lyon. 3 remaining batters for Lancashire. Snater's bowled nicely, hasn't he, through the course of this match?
He has.
Been the golden arm, hasn't he, for Essex, really?
He certainly has. He's got 2 for 8. Looking to add to that. He's got 2 slips in the gully. Keeper standing up. Snater, Van der Graham, good change in and bowls, and that's cut away for 4. Good shot there by George Bell. Just giving himself a little bit of room and just cutting it behind square out to the boundary for 4.
It's a strong shot that for Bell, but plays that well. Any bit of width towards Bell, and he plays that nicely.
As I said, first innings he shaped up well. I thought his technique looked very sound. And once again in the second innings he's also looking the part. Scores 76, 77 for 6. He waits as Snater is in to Bell once more and bowls, and Bell's forward. This meets it with a full face of the bat, structured up to mid-off, and there's no run. Hurst 12, Bell 17. Still trailed by 154 Lancashire as clouds appear again. I think Lancashire will be praying for some rain.
I don't think it's coming much.
Snater bowls and Bell is forward, and this time pushes it straight up to mid-on, and he can't score.
when you're in this situation, I don't know how many times you'd have faced it, you know, when you were playing, whether your side got into these situations too often or not, but if you're the two batters out there now, is it just all about what you can do individually, just trying to get something for yourself from this match, if Lancashire are staring down the prospect of a defeat here?
We'll wait as Snater bowls to Bell, and he's forward a repeat of the previous delivery, same result, ball straight up to mid-on, and there's no run. Now in this situation, the first thing comes to mind is, you know, when you is to stop the rot. You know, you're losing wickets, you're 6 down, was it 40 over 6? Your thing is really, how can I stop the rot? How can I bat some time? How can I bat some balls? Try to get yourself in, and not let the roller coaster continue. Porter bowls, and he beats him with a good one. Goes past the outside edge, nicely taken by McKenna. And that ball just would have just seamed away. And on this sort of surface, there's always that type of delivery that you can get. So, particularly at the start of your innings, you're really hoping that you don't get a nick on one of those. As Dickie's bumblebee has
come to life, hasn't it?
Has come back, and this delivery is on the stumps, defended back to the bowler. So Bell survives that over. He's on 17, Hurst 12, 77 for 6.
Well, they're batted for 50 deliveries, these two now. They face 50 balls for their 29 runs, so they've tried to stop the rot.
Yeah, I mean, that's important, you know, because you don't want wickets just falling in bundles. They did before this, so somebody has to stand up and try and repair the damage.
So we might see a bit of spin, I think. Yeah, we are. We'll see Simon Harmer. So just a couple of overs for Noah Thane from the Alistair Cook end, and from his favourite end will be Simon Harmer. He's not had too much of a role to play, or he's not been needed really. The seamers have been bossing it, haven't they? They've had most of the fun. Harmer only bowled 1 over in the Lancashire first innings, picked up a wicket in it, mind you. Not the dismissal of Jack Blatherwick. The work was done by Snater and Cook and Porter, and he's not yet been required in the second innings. But again, it's those three that have been doing all the work: Cook and Porter and Snater.
Yes, and Thane's spell was rather short.
It was, yeah, 2 overs. The umpire, I think, he's now just trying to. He was just adjusting Harmer's snood. I know we've mentioned these snoods a few times this morning, but the umpire was just making sure that it was in its right. He's got a lovely bit of neck warmth there, hasn't he, Simon Harmer? It's like a thick scarf wrapped around his neck as he comes into bowl. Slip and a short leg. Here's Harmer then for the first time today, and that's worked off the back foot by Hurst. Just guided safely down into the ground. And Cushy's under the helmets at forward short leg. Elgar, with his hands buried in his pockets, is at slip. And Harmer off a few paces. He's twirling in and bowling. And Hurst right up onto his toes just to get on top of the bounce and guide the ball safely behind square on the leg side. No run. It's a point cover mid-off. It's a short mid-wicket. It's a deep mid-wicket. With a backward square leg. For Harmer, for Essex to Hurst. And that's just nudged away behind square on the leg side. Wanted to get through for a single, but
near the back paddle. Huh?
Bell telling him to stay where he is. Looks like they want another man in around the bat.
Back paddle, leg slip.
And it's Critchley there that's removed his cap. So they'll have to wait to think for the helmet to come out to get an extra man around the bat. Yeah, it's been an unusual game, really, hasn't it, for Harmer? He tends to have such a big role to play. He hasn't really yet, but as I say, he's not been required. It's the seamers that have done the work. Maybe in for a bit of a spell here, though, just prior to lunch, half an hour or so. The helmet comes out. Well, there's Critchley going to position himself bit leg slip, the way that Hurst has played those first few deliveries. He's trying to steer it down into the ground round the corner. Yeah, that's exactly where he's gone. So there's a slip and a leg slip, and forward short leg now. It's Harmer for Essex. He's in and bowls, and this goes back, dabs it back down the ground to Harmer. Throws off his own bowling. 77 for 6. Lancashire trail by 154. Half an hour left of the morning session on day 3. Simon Harmer to Critchley, goes back and pulls. Snater gets across the ground nicely, slides down on one knee from kind of deep mid wicket to deep square. Sends the ball into the keeper. Hurst gets through for 1, moves on to 13. 78 for 6 now. And he's obviously got a bit warm here as Harmer. He's removed his snood now. Doesn't want that extra warmth around the neck. He's got rid of his neck scarf and he's handed it to the umpire. Here's Harmer in and bowls. Bell going back and working it down into the ground. Behind square. And there's no run, so just a single off the over. 78 for 6. Bell on 17, Hurst on 13. And Lancashire still 153 runs behind.
Yes, and Harmer just completing his first over, just a single.
Elsewhere, Surrey have reached a second batting point. They're going really well here with Dom Sibley and Dan Lawrence. 300 for 1 in their first innings of the defending champions, replying to a Kent total of 244 all out. Surrey 300 for 1. Sibley's already reached 3 figures and Lawrence is not too far behind. He's into the 90s now.
And Snater will continue to bowl to Hurst. 2 slips and gully in place and bowls, and Hurst is clipping this one to square leg and he's out. On the legs, and he's just chipped it straight to square leg, and simple catch taken. So Snater continues his wicket taking role, gets another wicket, and that was just on the onside, and he just picked the one man out in that area who takes the catch. So the 7th wicket goes down, and really that was a bit of a gift.
It was catching practice, really, wasn't it? I think that's Sam Cook, isn't it, that's taken the catch. Like it's just 7 down now. Let's have a look at some of the scores elsewhere while we wait for Hurst to leave the field and for Bailey to come and replace him. In Division 1 games, Hampshire against Warwickshire. 200 on the board for Hampshire. Who's got the runs there? It is Nick Gubbins, who's 106 not out, got a century against Lancashire last week. And Fletcher Middleton, who got 85 against Lancashire last week, has got runs again this week. He's unbeaten on 80. So Hampshire 202 for 1. In reply to a Warwickshire score of 455, so Hampshire trail by 253 runs. Gubbins and Middleton in good form there for the home side. I mentioned the Surrey score. Nottinghamshire are 114 for 2 in their second innings. They still trail Somerset by 147 runs. Joe Clark on 36 and Will Young on 34 for Notts at Taunton. And Worcestershire have made a pretty solid start. They've got a big score to chase, the thick end of 460 to get to win the match. And Worcestershire 43 without loss against Durham, who declared on 397 for 5. Division 2 games, Derbyshire 164 for 8. They trail Leicestershire by 410. Middlesex are 23 for 1 and require a further 135 runs to beat Yorkshire. Northamptonshire 400 for 5, lead Glamorgan by 134, and Sussex 336 for 7.
Bailey, the new batsman, Snater comes in on bowls to Bailey, and Bailey's off the back foot and punches this through extra cover, gets off the mark. Should get at least 2, could be possibly a 3rd, but they decided against it, so Bailey gets 2. Score goes to 80 for 7, and Snater now has figures of 3 for 14. He's in his 7th over, and the seam bowlers really have done all the damage for Essex, and Lancashire now really fighting for their lives at this moment. 2 slips go down and the gully as Snater Bowls to Bailey, and he's forward. Ball comes off the inner half of the bat, runs out to short mid wicket to another snood wearer.
Jordan Cox, I think that.
And hands in pockets, snood around the neck. And don't blame him, there's no fun. I mean, Cushy's down the square leg boundary, his arms pulled in. I think at ground level it's quite cool. And this one brings him forward again, Bailey, and defends a length delivery out to mid-off, and there's no run. Bailey 2, Bell 17. We're in over number 33. And Lancashire still trailed by 151.
Dan Lawrence has reached his century for Surrey, so 3 figures for Dan Lawrence as Surrey go on it nicely against Kent at Canterbury.
Snater in, bowls, and Bailey's forward. That one just straightened a bit and plays it out to mid-off. Can't score, he stays on 2 still. 81 overs left in the day's play after today. And it will take some doing if the full 81 overs are bowled today in Lancashire are still at the crease. It's a tall order. But Snater will like to do something about that as he's in now and bowls, and Bailey's forward and he's looking for a single, but he's sent back by Bell. That was the final delivery of that over by Snater. Just the 2 runs coming off the over plus the wicket at the end of the over. It's 80 for 7.
Just some details of that century for Dan Lawrence. 100 off 131 balls, batting for 2.5 hours with 9 fours. Surrey 315 for 1 at Canterbury. You're on Sports Extra at the BBC Sport website and app, and follow the live stream on Essex and the Lancashire websites as well. Every ball of the county championship available for you on the BBC Sport website and app, and the live text commentary as well, which runs alongside it. Ronan Butcher's has left us. Dick Davis is back. Oh, do you want your cushion, Dick?
I wouldn't mind, really.
That's
Yes,
well, it's
thank you.
yours. It is yours. Oh, I can tell the difference. Blimey. It's Harmer into to Bell. Short and pulled away behind square on the leg side. Snater has got across the ground quickly, does well to cut it off. Bell comes back and runs 2. He moves on to 19, and the score is 82 for 7. It does make a difference, does that?
It does. It's the best purchase I've made for ages. It's I don't know if you mentioned it, but it's a Lord's cushion, but I didn't get it at Lord's. I got it in a charity shop for 25 pence.
What a bargain. Here's Harmer in to Bell. Again, he pulls a short ball from Harmer. Oh, and this time it gets past Snater. He's been excellent, Snater, out in the deep, but he kind of over-egged it a bit. He kind of went too far. He almost ran past the ball. And Bell gets 4 through mid-wicket on that pull shot. He moves on to 23, and Lancashire are 86 for 7, trailed by 145.
Yeah, we've had a few more emails, but come back to that at the end of the over. Don't have much opportunity when Harmer's bowling. He gets through his overs pretty quickly, as you'd expect.
He's bowled 2 so far, and he's gone for 6. Is Harmer into to Bell. It's floated up. He reaches right forward as far as he can go. He's not a tall man, Bell, but he got as big a stride as he possibly could when he's bat in front of his pad, and the ball bounces back down the pitch and gathered by Harmer. He kind of drifts back to his bowling mark and turns and sets off. It's all a bit kind of no frills, isn't it, as he comes in and bowls to Bell. That's off the back foot. Just to run away through the offside for a single. Moves on to 24. Now 87 for 7. Bringing Bailey on strike. So with a slip and a leg slip and a forward short leg and a short straight and a mid wicket. And there's a backward square leg. The deep mid wicket, which is Snater, who's got a lot of ground to cover there. Away to his right and left. He's got acres either side of him. As Harmer's in to Bailey. And off the front foot, well, that's run away down towards third man. Sam Cook will catch up with it. Bailey jogs back for 2, doubles his total. He moves on to 4, and it's now 89 for 7, and the offside field will Cook is at backward point. Captain Tom Wesley is at mid-off, and Noah Thane on the long-on boundary just down below us. Here's Harmer in to Bailey, forward again, and completes the over as he defends to Tom Wesley. So reasonable over that for Lancashire. They managed to push the score along a little bit, 89 for 7. Still, however, 147 runs behind.
We had an email from David inquiring, is there any news on the absence of Michael Pepper? And then, perhaps a bout of condiments. Yes, well, at the time you sent this, I didn't know, but in the press box they know everything unless they just make it up. But I understand he sustained a finger injury in the warm-up. It seems to happen so often. I wonder if some of the warm-ups are overdone, particularly this weather. And luckily, Essex seem to have a surfeit of wicket-keepers as Snater moves in bowls. That's just played out into the covers, into a gap, and they go through for a comfortable single. And Gary from Frinton, who's Frinton Cricket Club, one of the finest equipped, for want of a better word, cricket clubs in the county. And I noticed their game was cancelled yesterday, opening of the season for the East Anglian Premier, and it was underwater.
Oh dear.
So been a bit nippy playing club cricket yesterday.
Just a bit.
As Snater moves in, bowls just played defensively, pushed out into the covers. He said, good to hear you all again this morning. Any idea Essex are thinking with regards to Nick Brown? No is the brief answer. You know, we can all guess, and you know, but no, I don't know. But they've got quite a strong squad now, Essex, and there's always what I think is the phrase that they use in business, contingency planning or something like that. I don't know. That's worked away down to long leg, fielded in front of the scoreboard. They go through for a very comfortable single. So thank you for that. Also had another message on social media, which I'll dig out from Barry, I think it was, in the southeast of the county where I come from, and have done for all but the first 4 years of my life. As Snater moves in, bowls, that's just played back to the bowler, no addition. To the score of 91 for 7, and the Lancastrians still trail by 140 with 3 wickets in hand. Not an ideal position from the visitors' point of view.
No, it's been a bit of a sticky morning for them, hasn't it?
It has really, yes. More than Essex could ever have realistically hoped for, you'd have thought. The Snater moves in, bowls, and that's just nudged down towards third man. They'll go through for 1. They'll not even think about a second, as it's fielded by Thane, Noah Thane, another one of the up-and-coming young players that Essex have on their books, as do all the other 17 counties as well, of course. Still the crowd all very well wrapped up with bobble hats and anoraks and all sorts of, not many sombreros or sun hats on display today. That's pushed out to mid-on. Except having said that, both of the umpires have white sort of boater type hats. Not as breezy as it was yesterday, otherwise they probably would have fluttered off into the North Sea by now. Well, slight exaggeration.
That's a strong gust of wind, is that, Dick, to take them to the North Sea?
Well, yes, it
was quite windy the first couple of days.
Yes, it was.
It's dropped a little bit. 92 for 7, so just less than 20 minutes before we get to that scheduled lunch break. 1:10 the lunch.
Oh yes,
today.
of course.
Addition, extra overs making up for what we lost on the first day. Harmer's back in. Bell might want 2 here. He's gone back and just worked the ball away through mid-wicket. Yeah, he does shuffle back for a couple because the fielders on the leg side are set back towards the rope. There's a long on and a deep mid-wicket. Bell does tickle it away for a couple, so he moves on to 28. 94 for 7 then. Trail by 137 runs. And Harmer into it to Bell, who's down on one knee and driving away through the covers for 4. And Bell is the top scorer in the innings. I mentioned there was a game here a couple of years ago where Bell made his championship debut for Lancashire, and it was a game where Lancashire was 70 all out and Essex were 50 all out, and he top scored for Lancashire on his debut in a low scoring match. And he's gone out to the middle again with the team struggling, and he's put together 32 very nice runs here. 32 from 33 for Bell. It's 98 for 7. Harmer to Bell forward and defends. And there's no run. Trail by 133. Simon Harmer. Don't mess about as he gets to his mark turns. He's back in and bowling again. It's whipped away off the back foot with a bit of bottom hand from George Bell. Just gets underneath the body of Dean Elgar, who's gone away to his right to try and field the ball. Bell gets a single. He moves on to 33, so he's 99 for 7. With 2 balls left of the 36th over of the Lancashire second innings. There's Harmer for Essex in. Bailey right forward and defends. Dropped away into the leg side, scooped up by Elgar. Underarm throw towards Harmer, who then didn't pick it up cleanly. The ball bounces its way towards the captain. Gives it a bit of a polish. Final ball of the over. 7 off this Harmer over. His 3rd of the morning. To Bailey. Goes back and run away square of the wicket. Actually just a little in front of square on the offside. And Cook, who's at backward point, tries to get to extra cover to field. Single for Bailey, and Lancashire have kind of limped their way up towards 3 figures. They've reached 100, but it's come at the expense of 7 wickets. They're 100 for 7. Trail by 131, and looks like we're going to see a little bit of Cook before lunch, because he's peeled off his jumper and he's set to replace Snater from the gooch end. 3 overs, 1 for 9 for Shane Snater. And he's replaced by Sam Cook as we edge slowly towards the back end of the morning session.
Yes, I mentioned the crowd, which is now, you know, quite sizable down this end, the Hayes Close, the River end, the Sir Alistair Cook end on the Thomas Pearce stand, Tom Pearce stand. There's not obviously any Lancashire supporters. Have you seen any Lancashire supporters who've made the long journey down?
There are a few, yeah. There's a couple in my hotel.
Oh right. As Cook moves in, bowls. Ooh, and a bit of a flirt outside the off stump there. A rather somewhat tentative push outside the off stump. Doesn't find the edge of the bat. Goes through to the wicketkeeper. I always associate Lancashire supporters with a chap who, don't know if he's still on the scene, used to wear this big sort of there again a type of boater thing, straw boater with red roses all round it. Is he still on the scene? Or?
Mike, yeah, that's Mike. So yeah, he'll be at every home match.
Oh, and a bit of a, well, if the previous shot was something indifferent, that was imprudent. It was just a bit of a. I never like to criticise visiting players because they don't have the chance to come back at me, and at least if I criticise the Essex players, I can say, what do you mean saying that? But that was a little bit rash at most, wasn't it?
Well, he certainly went for it, didn't he?
Yes.
He threw everything at that.
Yes, kitchen sink comes to mind as Cook moves in, bowls Bailey, and just plays that with a lot more respect out on the onside to Cox now, who's fielding again in one of these things that are now known called snoods.
I've decided that I think Jordan Cox feels the cold more than anybody else. He's been like that for all 3 days.
Yes.
Really. He looks absolutely frozen.
Yes, well, he was educated at Felsted School in Essex, so you'd think they'd sort of, you know, breed them pretty tough there. You know, cold showers at dawn and all that sort of thing.
Sounds lovely.
That's played out into the covers. 1 run a cruise. Quite a few Essex cricketers have been educated at Felsted Public School, where former Lancashire as well as Essex player Jason Gallion is the coach. Does he formerly play for Yorkshire? Lancashire, sorry. And Notts, where he had a famous disagreement with one Kevin Peterson as Cook moves in and bowls, and that's just played defensively.
Dan Lawrence is out, having got to a century, out for 112, bowled by Matt Parkinson. Surrey 340 for 2, and it's in reply to a Kent total of 244. Lawrence making 112 from 143 deliveries. And Worcestershire have lost their first wicket, 49 for 1 at Kidderminster.
As Cook moves in again and bowls, Bailey pushes that out on the offside. They go through for comfortably taken single out into the covers.
It's now 49 for 2 Worcestershire, and they're at lunch. So they've lost 2 wickets in 2 balls. For Paul Coughlin. So he'll be on a hat-trick after lunch. It's 49 for 2, that Worcestershire game at Kidderminster against Durham, and they still require 409 to win. Worcestershire and Durham looking for 8 wickets.
I'll do a 1 o'clock update in half a minute or so, or whenever. And Scott has just gone to do similar for BBC Lancashire listeners. Sorry if you can hear in the background the local news, but there's nothing we can do about it as Harmer moves in and bowls. That's just played defensively. No further addition to the score of 103 for 7. So Roland will join me for the remaining 10 minutes or so until lunch. And Bailey comes down the wicket, hits it straight back at Harmer, and oh dear, Lancashire lose their 8th wicket now, 103 for 8. That was well, it didn't quite get to the pitch a bit. Oh, I'll just do an update.
Victory on day 3 of their county championship match against Lancashire and Chelmsford. Let's get the latest details live from the county ground of the Essex Stick Days.
Well, Essex could hardly have had a better morning, because in the 2 hours play we've had so far, they've taken a further 7 wickets, and the visitors are 103 for 8. They still trail by 128 runs, and well, the wickets have been falling steadily all morning, and well, the top scorer so far, George Bell, is still at the crease with 33 not out, but nobody else has really offered much resistance. Luke Wells made 21 and Matthew Hurst 13, but nobody else has got into double figures. So Essex well on top, with the visitors still 128 behind and only 2 wickets in hand.
Commentary of that match continues on the BBC Sport website.
Right, so as I say, there's about 9 minutes to lunch, because they've the added overs to take account of play that was lost on the first day. When originally I'd have come along to watch, and then saw the weather forecast and drew the curtains back in the morning and decided, no, I don't think I'll bother. So the new batsman is Blatherwick, Jack Blatherwick, just taking guard from umpire Alex Wharf. And Harmer's just taken his first wicket, 1 for 18 in 3.2 overs. Moves in now, right arm over the wicket to Blatherwick. That's just met with stern defence.
It's been a day to forget for Lancashire. They've had a dreadful morning.
You can probably hear Scott doing his update, which he began by saying it's a day to regret for Lancashire. It is indeed, unless something spectacular happens, it will turn out to be a day to regret. That's just worked away on the onside, no addition to the score. As Harmer moves in again, right arm over the wicket, bowls, and that's dug out by Blatherwick. Ball of full length, head over the ball, and of course if they take one more wicket in the next 7 or 8 minutes, and they can go on for half an hour till they take the last one. But time alone will tell as Harmer moves in and bowls. That's just worked way backward of square. Well, George Bell was vaguely interested in a single from the far end, but he was disabused of the notion. End of the over, and Lancashire are 103 for 8.
Yeah, successful over there for Harmer by picking up the wicket of Bailey. Caught him bowl, very simple chance. Bailey just coming on the wicket, chipping it straight back to Harmer. Even in these cold conditions, really couldn't see him dropping that.
No.
It's very, very straightforward. So 103 for 8, and Lancashire slide into defeat here. They're still 128 behind, and just 2 wickets Essex need to take to register their second victory. As Cook is in and bowls and beats him outside the off stump. That's a lovely delivery, and just bunks in as well, and Bell squared up. Ball goes past the outside edge, taken by Kenner, and lovely delivery. He's hit the seam quite regularly, and that one just perhaps did too much in the end because it missed the bat by a long way. But he's coming in once more from the Graham Gooch end, passes the umpire now in bowls, and Bell is forward and he's going to take a single because mid off has been moved out to long off. Takes a single, the field now comes in, so mid off was deep. He comes to traditional mid off. Mid on he was also deep. The third man is coming up as well for the new batter, so he'll probably come into the gully, I would imagine.
We've just been contacted officially by the county now to say that Michael Pepper picked up a finger injury whilst keeping yesterday, so he's currently being assessed. Jordan Cox is currently unable to keep wicket following his rehabilitation from a finger injury during the 100 last season.
So
Thank you.
We've got a short third man in place. So there's two slips and a short third man. Not quite sure as Cook in bowls, and this is worked onto the onside by Blatherwick. Ball just coming into the right-handed batter, and Blatherwick just played it gently out to a square leg. He can't score. He's yet to get off the mark, and Lancashire really finding it hard work here. They're 104 for 8, and after one ball they've decided that the short third man should come into third slip. So there's 3 slips awaiting Blatherwick. Bell is at the non-strikers and he's on 34 as Cook bowls, and this one is striking him on the pad as a half appeal for a BW bat. Either he got a nick on that or it was going down, so the appeal didn't continue. Score stays at 104 for 8. Sun now out just before the luncheon interval. The sun is beaming down, which is good to see. Hasn't been out for very long at various intervals, but it really hasn't affected the performance of the Essex bowlers because they have been on target all day, and this one is way outside the off stump, and Blatherwick decides not to play a shot. So 3 slips are there waiting. There's a point, not just saving one, but also in a catching position. There's a wideish mid off, then short mid wicket. He's in the catching position, square leg. Bedon, I think Cushy's down on the long leg boundary, and change in field. The square leg now has been taken out and put to deep square leg. Also a point, he goes to 3/4 of the way to the boundary. Just don't mind if he gets the single so that they can bowl at him the next over, and this one is worked into the onside, so he will not face the next over. Blatherwick, he will be at the non-striker's end. Bell, who's on 34, he's still there. He will face the next over. 104 for 8. We've had 39 overs bowled.
Thank you, Tony, for your email. I presume this is rhetorical because we don't know any better than anybody else. Have Essex a new vision this year regards to the opening look pair of Elgar and Cushy? Are they looking for quicker runs, especially with Cushy, who is great to watch? Hence, is that why Brown is not being picked? Because he's much slower than Cushy. Well, your guess is as good as mine, but certainly Dean Elgar is a very good old-fashioned type of opener, and I use that entirely complimentarily, who's prepared to stay there all day if necessary. Just played out in the offside, 1 run a cruise, whereas you say Cushy likes to get on with it. Indeed, in the first innings, or so far the only Essex innings, he made 53 out of an opening partnership of 62. So it does suggest that's the policy, but time alone will tell as Harmer moves in and bowls, and that's played studiously and watchfully and diligently by the batsman with head over the ball. And Harmer in again. Probably the last over before lunch, unless a wicket falls. And that is, which it does immediately. Well, if we thought that Tom Bailey's caught and bowled was a soft dismissal, it was nothing compared with that. It was really very strange because the batsman just sort of stuck his bat out horizontally to the ground and dollied it back to Harmer. So we just look at the replay, and it's not the sort of thing the batsman will want to look at again, really, and which is a shame.
Not really sure what Blatherwick was trying to do there.
No, neither am I. No.
Neither could Harmer.
I'm sure if you asked,
he was as surprised as anyone.
If you asked Blatherwick now what were you trying to do, he would be at a loss as well. But anyway, so now we do go on for a half an hour, or a maximum half an hour, until a wicket is taken. Well, that's the regulations as I understand them to be, but everything changes, and as I frequently say, the more I watch and commentate on this game, the less I understand it. For all we know, the regulations may have changed yet again, but that's certainly my current understanding. So we could go on till 20 to 2, but Nathan Lyon doesn't have a great pedigree when it comes to batting, but you never know. So whilst he's always walked to the wicket, Vaughan Prentice says it's quite obvious that our team, presumably means Essex, this season can challenge for the championship. But what about the white ball prospects? Well, I think they have such a good, well-balanced all-round side. They could present a serious threat in all 3 versions of the game, actually. Right, so Harmer to the Australian Nathan Lyon. So 2 of the leading spin bowlers in the world in contention with each other. That's just worked away on the onside, no addition to the score. Of 105 for 9, still trail by 126. And gives that a little bit more air, and Lyon pushes that out on the offside. As regards Lyon batting, I famously remember a test match quite recently when he was quite seriously injured to such an extent that it was at Lord's that he'd sort of got by the boundary when the penultimate wicket fell. Otherwise it would have taken him more than 2 minutes to get to the wicket and would have been timed out. And I don't think he hung around for too long, but on the other hand he was injured then. Who knows what he might do today. So that's just played defensively. Trickles out on the offside. No addition to the score. So yes, if Harmer had not taken a wicket that over, we'd now be trooping off to our various places to have a bite to eat. But as it is, we will continue with Essex very much in the ascendancy because they have the visitors 106 for 9.
Yes, and Len would be on strike. So he will be facing Cook. Cook currently has 1 for 27 or 13. He certainly would be happy to pick another one up. And whether it's Len or Bell, I don't think he would be too bothered, but he gets the first knock chance at Len, who's faced by, he's got 3 slips. Cushy's coming up from that long leg position, he's coming into square leg, so that fielder comes across to the offside, he's at mid-off. Cook bowls to Lan and down the leg side, Lan's offers no shot, and it's taken by the keeper, Kenner, and really Lancashire in all sorts of trouble now.
Yes.
6 for 9, and as we start half an hour before lunch maximum if neither of these batters get out, but the way things are going, the chances are that probably will not need the half an hour as Cook bowls and Len is going to get a single here. We'll have to wait and see whether it came off the bat. He's forward, the ball ends up backward square on the onside, so he will get the single.
Yep, no indication from umpire James Middlebrook.
Goes to 2, so 107 for 9 brings Bell on strike. Bell's on 35. Once again, he's looked good, Bell.
He has.
Just running out of partners. Cook balls to Bell, and Bell is caught at slip.
And that is it.
And that's all over.
Dean Elgar.
Elgar takes the catch. He goes down the wicket, gets a thick outside edge, it lobs to Dean Elgar at slip. Elgar takes the catch, another wicket to Bell. So we don't need that half an hour in actual fact. And Essex have completed a comprehensive victory here at Chelmsford, really in just 2 days plus 1 session. And they've really outplayed Lancashire in this match. Len remains 2 not out. Cook has now picked up that wicket. He gets 1 for 28. And Lancashire all out for 107. Then really Bell just goes down the wicket, hangs the bat out, gets an edge. And players congratulating each other. The Essex team, they have now completed a 2nd victory in the first 3 games, so they've done everything that they needed to do. Spectators, they have seen a good morning session. They can have the rest of the afternoon off relaxing.
And all tomorrow.
And tomorrow as well. And they probably will not be too happy with having tomorrow off, when it probably would have been a cricket day they would have wanted to watch. But good performance by Essex, totally deserve that. And Lancashire, they've got a lot of work to do, and they're 2nd best in this contest.
Yes. To what extent? Because to what extent do you think winning the toss was very important for Essex to win it and put the visitors in?
I think it's very important because, as you saw on that first day, it wasn't easy batting, and they did the hard work by bowling Lancashire up for 146. So the moment they had bowled them up for 146, really they were under tremendous pressure, And once Essex had batted and got a decent total, and the deficit being over 200, really it was uphill task for Lancashire from there on in.
Yes, but well, the toss, the weather, all these things are the imponderables which affect this wonderful game of Essex and wonderful game of cricket, and nothing alters the fact that Essex won by making an innings of 124 runs. Points they may well need, because they still have this threat of a deduction hanging over their head when Thane inadvertently had a bat that was fractionally too wide at Trent Bridge. So yeah, these points are valuable. They took, how many points did they take from that? 22, I think it was, 22 points. So yeah, Essex obviously, well, they were at the top of the table anyway at this moment, 1:15 on the Sunday afternoon. They lie firmly at the top of the table, so they could hardly have made a better start to the season. I had looked forward to spending 2 days, 6 sessions in the company of Roland Butcher and Scott Reed. As it is, I've spent 1 session in their company. Admittedly, I was here yesterday. So in that way, it's a disappointment. But on the other hand, to see Essex win so comprehensively is... yeah, it's very gratifying. And as I said earlier, apropos one of our emails, I think they, and I've also in the last 20 odd years I've been doing this, I've always bent over backwards not to be biased. But I do think that Essex look a very balanced, all-round side. They seem to have, I think the phrase is, every base covered. Would you, as an impartial observer, come to the same conclusion?
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty solid team. The seam bowling department is well stocked. Then the spin department, we've got that covered as well. Yeah, I think it's going to need some good cricket to beat them this year.
Yeah, because they bat deep as well, don't they?
They've got the perfect start, which is also important. That will add to the, to the confidence as well. So things are going well at the moment.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you, Roland, very much indeed for your company and your commentary, and the same to Scott. I hope you both have very good trips back to wherever your next game. Well, I know Scott's going back up north. Roland, what's your next game? Do you know?
I am at the Oval on Friday.
Oh, you're at the Oval, right? Well, have fun at the Oval. And thank you to the listeners for listening and the emailers for emailing. And well, enjoy the rest of the afternoon. You probably were going to work tomorrow anyway, but enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. My name is Dick Davis, and from Chelmsford, I'm delighted to report that Essex have just secured their second victory of the season, having beaten Lancashire by an innings and 124. So thanks again very much, and my colleagues will be commentating on Essex's next match, which is a long way away up at Chesterland Street against Durham, starting on Friday. So thanks again, and enjoy yourselves in pretty indifferent weather, but at least it's staying dry. Thank you.